Tier lists are a cornerstone of YouTube. They're the equivalent of a 9 to 5, or an addiction depending on who you ask. With Rise of Beasts being released recently, I think now would be a perfect time to do a tier list ranking all the Transformers films, and if any of you don't like my opinions, feel free to leave a comment down below. We start where it all began, with the Generation 1 film, and that gets an A tier because it's aged like fine wine. Sure, it was a flop when it initially released in 1986, but in the 36 years since its release, I feel people have come to both love and respect the movie. And you have to think what it did for the franchise. It introduced things like the title of Prime, the Matrix of Leadership, Unicron, and characters like Ultra Magnus, Galvatron, Hot Rod, Blur, and RC. There's also the fact that the film looks beautiful with the 80s aesthetic going so fucking hard, especially considering the animation quality when compared to the actual cartoon. And during fight scenes, the animation quality is spot on for an 80s kids film. There's so much violence. There's probably more traumatic moments in this movie than all of the Bayverse. The first half of the film is actually a slaughter. The attack on the shuttle and Autobot City is a masterpiece. The deaths of the Autobots are perfect, and the film pulls no punches, with characters being beaten to death like Optimus Prime or Brawn having his back blown out. Plus, the film's soundtrack is amazing, with songs from Weird Al Yankovic and NRG, and original tracks like The Death of Optimus Prime and the impact of Prime's death literally caused kids to leave the cinema and hide in their closets. And the voice cast, holy shit, they had Orson fucking Welles as Unicron, you know, the guy who made Citizen Kane. Seriously, look at his movie list and you get all these gritty, serious films, and then fucking Transformers. The 2007 film is one of only two good Michael Bay films, with the other one being Dark of the Moon, but more on that later. The first live-action film is a great modern adaptation and reimagination of the franchise. The film brought action to the franchise and made the Autobots and Decepticons feel like their actions have impact. It shows how the characters are actual soldiers who fought for a war. They're all covered in scars and make antagonists like Megatron feel feared. Not to mention the redesigns, with characters like Optimus getting an upgrade and Bumblebee's lack of voice adding sympathy for the character, and the CGI was groundbreaking for the time, with Prime himself having over 1,000 individual moving parts. The action was perfect, the characters were spot on, however the film has become very dated. That I can overlook, seeing how it was released nearly 20 years ago, with a lot happening in those 20 years, and as much as I like it, and as much as I like the human element of the film, some parts are, well, now sure, the film acted as a sexual awakening for most boys, with Megan Fox being the 2000s version of Slave Leia. The music is good here, as well as the iconic Autobot theme being a banger, and while the film has its problems, it is overall enjoyable, and serves as a very good action film with big dumb robots fighting each other, and because of that, let's give it a B tier. Now, Revenge of the Fallen has a special place in hell, and I'm going to give it its own spot below F tier, and I don't feel like I need to explain why. What do you mean I have to? Oh, fuck. Revenge of the Fallen's only good part is the forest fight. The rest of the film makes me want to gouge my eyes out, and it's dumb as hell, with robots humping humans. The twins just make me want to kill myself. Now, Dark of the Moon. It's going on top tier. It's the GOAT. I don't care what anyone says. The last hour of the movie, holy shit, it's good. Now, it does have some issues. It has a slow start and the overly complex conspiracy, but the film is enjoyable. Sentinel's betrayal and execution of Ironhide were things I didn't see coming. I don't think anyone saw them coming, due to all the promo art having Optimus and Sentinel stuck together, and the wall banging of Ironhide gave me real reasons to hate Sentinel and want Prime to just rip off his head. The characters in the movie have actual arcs and go through change, with Sam coming to terms with his place in the world and Optimus learning how to make sacrifices, and the film actually brings the story to a close and acts as a pretty decent send-off to the trilogy that had been established, and is miles better than Revenge of the Fallen, which, by the way, still had not got a script. Now, the rank of C tier, I'm going to give to Age of Extinction, because the film is literally the definition of mid. If you go to Wikipedia, the entire page just says mid. Sure, its action is pretty good, and the story, while flawed, has its merits. The film has way too many red flags, with its biggest one being its defense of dating a minor, and Ratchet's death was only there for shock value and the Worf effect, And unlike Sentinel's character, who was hated for killing Ironhide, Ratchet's death seemed to, kind of pointless. Yeah, it served a purpose to the story, but Ratchet didn't need to die. They could have kept him alive and used him as a plot point, but instead they just kill him. And the only reason was to make Lockdown a lot more badass. In fact, Lockdown is actually just the only reason why this film's C tier. Now, do I really need to explain why The Last Knight is F tier? It's just a bad movie. The plot is there, but it's scatterbrained, and all the robots feel like they have ADHD because no one in this movie will sit still for 4 seconds. Now, I made the brave choice to put Bumblebee in B tier because it's just a great movie. It's small, it's self-contained, and doesn't try to overdo anything or top any previous movies. The character designs are great, and the humans are actually enjoyable. Not to mention John Cena's somewhere in the film. I don't know, I can't quite see him. The Cybertron flashbacks are better than most of the Bayverse, with the 2 lines Soundwave has being better than the entirety of The Last Knight. Our second to last movie on the list is the latest film in the franchise, Rise of the Beasts, which gets an S tier for a start. Live action Beast Wars, second live action Scourge, third off Pete Davidson, and finally live action Unicron. Fuck off, Last Night doesn't count. The human characters are enjoyable, every Optimus moment goes hard, especially the ending. Bumblebee's death during the film added real weight to the story and didn't feel like Ratchet's death from Age of Extinction, and instead made Optimus's rage and guilt feel justified. Plus, Mirage is a goated character. Okay, I ain't gonna lie, I honestly keep forgetting about Predacons Rising, because it's kinda mid. Sure, it's a great send-off to the Transformers Prime series, but as a standalone movie, it's alright. It's nothing special, the story focuses more on Unicron than the actual Predacons, and the film juggles too much in too little time. You have subplots with Optimus, Starscream, Predaking, and Unicron, even though he's meant to have died during the actual series. And those were my rankings of the Transformers movies. I only wanted to make a quick video because I've got so many projects in the works and I didn't want to starve people for content, but if you guys want to know what I'm working on, go follow me on Instagram, link in description, to keep up to date with what I'm doing, and say hi if you want, and as always, till next time.